Now let's go ahead and add the new instructor to the instructor lists. And this is going to be an opportunity to see a new function or two for MongoDB. So back to my UI. So here I added the instructor to the database, and then I'm returning the instructor to new instructor. So new instructor, I get the instructor list, and then I get the instructor, and then I add the instructor to the list, but I don't flush that change to the database. And then the other thing that I do here is I get the instructor and I add it to the list of all instructors, but I don't flush that to the database either. So what I want to do is I'm going to just reuse my add to database method on instructor lists. So course instructor UI, all instructors, add to database. And then here in new instructor, il.add to database. That's it. So that's going to flush my two instructor lists. Now, right now, if I just run this right now, it will unfortunately not work. So let's go ahead and run it and look at the error that I get. So I'm going to add an instructor, make a new instructor, Kara. Let's add to CIS 233J. Kara. Actually, I'm going to get an error from this, which is not the error that I want, because I still have Kara in the database. So I get the error that I tried to add Kara twice. So let me try this one other time. So this time I'm going to make a new instructor. And we'll add Gayatri Iyer. Who's a full-time instructor. So this time I got a duplicate key error, but I didn't get it when I added the instructor to the instructors collection, because this was a new instructor for the instructors collection. Instead, I got the duplicate key error when I tried to add the all instructors list to the instructor list collection, because I already have an all instructors list in instructors lists. So basically this line right here in instructor list, calling instructor list, add instructor list to database. And then in my database, this thing here, this insert one, if instructor list is already in a database and I try adding it again, I get this error, duplicate key. So fundamentally in MongoDB, and in fact in SQL databases as well, inserting something that's new into a table or a collection is a different operation from updating that record. So in SQL, there's an insert command to insert a row into a table, and there's an update command to update the contents. And if you try to insert a row that has the same key value as a row that's already in the database, you get an error. It's a validation error. Here, if you try to insert a document into a collection and there's already a document with the same ID, you get a duplicate key error as well. So what we want to do basically is, if this thing is a new instructor, then we call insert one. But if it's an instructor that's already in the database, instead of inserting one, we instead want to use an update command. So there's a command called update, which is basically cls.instructorlists.update. And then you give it two parameters. So the first parameter is a search query in the form of a JSON object or a dictionary, a document that describes which rows or which documents in the collection you want to update. So the document that, and that's the same as the find command. The find command also takes a search query in the form of a document that describes which documents in the collection to return. And if you leave it empty, that means return all of them. Same thing here with this update. If you leave this empty, it's going to update all of them, which is not what we want here. So what we want here is we actually want to update the document whose ID matches the ID of the thing that we're adding here. And so the query is going to look like this. The column I'm interested in is ID, and the value that I want to match is instructor list get key, which I probably have to write. So let's actually make sure that I have this thing, this accessor already. And I think I need to add it, yeah. So get key is actually exactly the same as get name. Okay, so this query is only going to match this instructor list. And so that's the only one that's going to get updated. And then the value that I'm going to update is basically all of the columns and all of the values. So I'm just going to put the instructor list to dict here. So this toDict method is going to return a dictionary that's going to replace the current document where the ID matches. And now, wouldn't it be nice if I had an easy way to tell whether I was adding this for the first time or not? Because if I was adding it for the first time, then this would be the line I execute. But if I'm not adding it for the first time, this would be the line I want to execute. And this is actually a really common problem is, I mean, I could write a database query that does a find on this thing here. And if it's already in the database, then I know I want to call this. And if it isn't, then I know I'm sorry. If it is, then I want to call update. And if it isn't, I want to call insert. But that's expensive because I have to do 2 round trips to the database to do one update or insert. And this problem comes up all the time. And so what MongoDB provides is actually a parameter to update called Upsert. So if you upsert an update, it's going to treat it like an update if it's already in the database, in the collection. But if it's not already in the collection, it's going to treat it as an insert. So basically, instead of going to the database and figuring out whether it's there or not so that you know whether you need to call insert or update, you can just do an update with insert set to upsert set to true. And then if it's already in there, it'll do update. And if it's not, it'll do insert. And that saves you having to do an extra round trip. And I think I just add that as upsert equal true. Well, we'll find out. And this should now work for the new ads and also for updates. So let's give it a shot and see. So let's actually, I'm going to reset the data so that Kara isn't in there anymore. So let me stop the program. and rebuild the data. And now everything's consistent, should be, so I can run the program. Okay, so I'm going to add a new instructor list for CIS 233J, and then, oops, collection object is not callable. So it wasn't update. What was it?
I'm
And then
wondering,
go ahead.
I'm wondering, is that update _1 instead of the update method?
Oh, yeah, actually, that might be it. Hold on. Yep, that was it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's list it. And then I'm going to add a new instructor list. Okay, that's good. It found the update one method, so that was that problem. But then my upsert, let me update. So let me just do a quick check on the update one syntax. Upsert replace document. There's replace one. Updates a single document that matches the query. Maybe it just applies to update, which I guess has been. So this is what I was trying to call in the first place, but I think it may have been deprecated. So anyways, all right. I know when to give up. And so we're going to do set of that whole dictionary. So let's try that. Add a new instructor list for CIS 233J. And then list them, print CIS 233J. And then we're going to make a new instructor for CIS 233J. Kara Tang a okay, and then we'll print 233J, and Kara's there. Let me just add one more. I just added a new instructor list for 233J in lowercase, which is different from in uppercase. So I'm messing up a little bit, but let me make a new instructor for CIS 233J. So both in, oh, so one got on. I'm gonna start over again here, and I'm gonna rebuild the database, and now I'm gonna run it again. Okay, add a new instructor list for 233J, and then new instructor 233J for Kara Tang a. Yes. And then new instructor, 233J, Ho-Chen, Chang. Yes, add them to the list. Now print the list. And they're both there. And now I'm going to exit the program and start it again. And I'm going to print CIS 233J, and they're both there. And then I'm also going to print all instructors, and they're both there. So Kara just got added and Pochin was already there.